What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Brand new patch has just been released for Overwatch 2. This has some changes for Mercy and Moira. And the Moira changes looks like it was ripped right out of one of my character concepts. And we'll get to that in just a minute. So first is Mercy. With this one, what they did was they changed how the super jump works with the Guardian Angel. Now, this first originally was just a bug that you could do on Overwatch 1. Then they changed it so you could do like some crouching stuff to cancel it. Then in Overwatch 2, they made it so that it would automatically work every single time you used it. And now they've changed it so it's not really a super jump anymore. I mean, they kind of call it a super jump, but it's not a super jump anymore. It's more like a slingshot or like a rubber band kind of effect. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So what you do is you use the ability, and the further away you are, the more power you get, because you'll notice that there's a charge meter on that right-hand side that very quickly appears. And the more charged it is, the further you will go. And you cancel it by pressing jump, and it will launch you, continuing in that direction. And this could be really good, if you're trying to get to somebody over there, you can... Alright, so that didn't work too well. I didn't have enough charge on that one. So you can use it to kind of launch yourself over to another side, to another teammate, or behind a wall or something. So it definitely has a lot of uses. You can also go in the reverse if you hold backwards. So when you do it, it'll throw you backwards, which is also definitely going to be useful. But you might be asking, okay, well, what about the jump part of the jump, right? Like, there's a super jump. Where is the jump? It doesn't really have one. You can move forward in whatever direction you're looking, and you get that little extra jump, the little extra launch from it. But if you want to go up, you have to look straight up, or you have to look straight down. So let me show you here. In order to go up, you have to do that. And the problem I have with that is when you're looking straight up at the sky, you're not looking at your team anymore. You're not looking at the enemy. In fact, you have absolutely no awareness of what's going on because you're just looking straight into the sky. And the same thing is reversed if you try to look down and do the reverse, which does seem to work a little bit better in some situations. Let me see if I can get it to work here. So it does, it kind of works, but again, you have the same issue where you have to look straight down and you're no longer looking at your teammates, you're no longer looking at the enemy, none of that. So what I think they should probably do is make it so that if you cancel it with crouch, it makes you go launch straight forward. And if you cancel it with jump, then it makes you jump, go upwards. That seems to be the easiest fix that they could do with this. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but right now there doesn't really seem to be much jump in the super jump, if you know what I mean. Not to say that it's completely useless. Like I said, the whole slingshot thing is definitely useful, but again, not much jump. Next is Moira, and they gave this character a ton of nerfs. So pretty much everything about the character except for her damage per second has been nerfed, right? So she still does the same damage, but the healing has been reduced from 24 down to 20. The fade has been nerfed, so instead of a 6-second cooldown, it's now 7 seconds. The healing orb has been nerfed from 300 healing down to 250. It also has a 10-second cooldown, up from 8 seconds. So everything has been nerfed. What have they actually changed? Well, you might notice that the healing orb is now on a separate cooldown than the damage orb, which looks vaguely like Reaper's ultimate, or at least I think one of the early versions of the Reaper ultimate icon. Anyways, what this does, it's now called the Necrotic Orb, and it no longer bounces. Instead, it will just kind of explode like that. And what that does is it will lower the damage that those enemies do. So it will, first of all, it has a 3-meter impact area, and it will deal 40 direct impact damage. So if you hit an enemy directly, it does 40 damage. It does an additional 10 of explosion damage, which is probably still subject to fall off, I would have to imagine, and that would basically be nothing for most of the time. Expect to do like 2 or 3 explosion damage at most. But the big part about this is that it will lower all enemy damage by 75% for 4 seconds. 4 seconds. 75% reduced damage for 4 seconds. That is incredibly powerful. Now, I do want to point out that this is called the weakened effect, and I just want to throw something up on the screen. I have to toot my own horn in this one. Look at this. This is a hero concept I made a while ago called Vidal. He had both healing. It was basically a character where you could stance, like you would have healing on one side and damage on the other. But it wasn't all damage. It was like utility and stuff. And basically he had this ability called Weaken, which does mostly what this ability does now for Moira. Except mine was actually a lot weaker, no pun intended, where I think I only had like 35% damage, and I kind of changed it a couple times. But this is 75% damage, which is just ridiculously powerful. Basically, if someone uses their ultimate...
Pain is inevitable.
Oh, well, that one died. But basically, you get the idea. If someone uses their ultimate, you hit them with this, and then their ultimate does basically no damage, right? So 75% reduction to their ultimate.
Your end is within
Like,
my reach.
consider your ultimate countered. Now, it is on a 16-second cooldown, which is ridiculous, and more than I think should be. I don't think any ability in the game should have more than a 12-second cooldown, and the power needs to be adjusted accordingly. So for this, I would say, you know, reduce the effectiveness down to like 50% or something and make it on a lower cooldown. 16 seconds is ridiculous. It's the same thing with Mercy's Res and Baptiste's Immortality Field. I mean, you're basically looking at an ability that has a cooldown that's so long, it might as well be like a mini ultimate, basically. You can see the range on this is pretty good, but this is a very, very, very powerful ability. And again, strikingly familiar to what Vidal had. And I would like to, I like it. I think it's okay. Obviously I came up with it, but I would like to see Moira's version be maybe a little weaker and a lower cooldown. I think that would be better. But ultimately, is this a better change than the damage orb she had? Yes. I think this is way, 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 way better than the damage orb, because you're not going to have DPS Moiras anymore, right? Like, you can no longer really effectively DPS Moira. I mean, you can, but it's not really going to be all that great anymore. So I think this is a good change for the character. I would like to see some number changes on some of this stuff, but otherwise, I think that this is overall a good change. Mercy's change, kinda, I think it could be better. But there you go, guys. Those are the changes for the Overwatch 2 beta. What do you think? Let me know down below.
A big thanks to all the Paragons and other channel members for all your support. If you'd like to become one and grab some cool rewards, click the join button down below. And remember, always, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.